So a little bit of background about me. This is the first and only novel I've had published as of today. Eye of the Shadow. Sometimes the blind see better than anyone. A novel of murder and rebirth. It was published in Australia by Penguin, and it was shortlisted for Book of the Year, the top 5. And why this particularly moves me is because this was done by a group of people who didn't care whether you were famous. They cared about the book. It was done for the Braille and talking book version before you made money out of talking books. You gave that away. And it's written from the perspective of a blind person, as if a blind person wrote it. Now this is the unique thing about novels. More than any other art form, more than films, more than anything, it can take you inside the head of another person and their way of thinking and looking at things. All right, and it's come to this now. This is the website, HellDemons.com. And it's about, so this is now the intro to the novel. One thing I discovered was that it has many different elements to it, this novel, but part of it can be described as what they call a fantasy romance. And this is a massive genre. It sells massive numbers on Amazon. So I've positioned the write-up like that. Would you go through hell for love? Who feels that at some stage in their life they've been through hell for love? Anybody here? Anybody not felt that at some stage? All right. Would you battle a demon for love? Would you place your life in the hands of a demon for love? Would you? Have you noticed that the world is going to hell at the moment? There's a bad reason for that. 8 demons have deserted their posts in hell and are hiding amongst us in human form, manipulating the path of humankind. Their aim is to enslave us without us actually knowing we've been enslaved. And they're succeeding. But there is a possible turning point, maybe. Ciao Bella Cafe in Los Angeles, a very strange man walks in and is served by a black waitress, wannabe actress named Brandy. And that is the setup for the start of HellDemons. It's slated as 4 very large fantasy novels, fantasy in inverted commas. And how did it come about? Oh. HellDemons. All right. It came about ultimately because of this. The screen's working now. The Ramakien. The Ramakien is a myth. Is there any Indians in the audience this week? No? Well, it comes originally from an Indian myth, the Ramayana. Ramakien means, the Thai word for it, means the glory of Rama. And it's got romance in, as you can see, and it's got demons in. Now, who has ever seen any of the artwork or artistic pieces spawned by the Ramakien? Anybody here ever seen one? You've all seen them, okay? Oh, I've got to get used to I'm not used to this one. Anybody ever seen stuff like this? Or like this at temples? Right? All the temples have these demon figures that are guardian figures supposed to keeping out the bad energies so that, and of course it's got nothing to do with Buddhism. Nothing. It's a Thai thing and they brought it in. And some of them are beautiful. Look at the beauty of this thing. It's a demon that's absolutely beautiful. Big, yeah, some of them are huge. And you all recognize this. Who is this? Tell me. Tell me. Who? Hanuman? Yeah? Hanuman? Hanuman? It's not Hanuman. No, it's his son, actually. It's not Hanuman. Hanuman was the monkey warrior god king in the Ramakien. He was a bit of a Jack the Lad. So you'll notice this is like a... By the way, if you're catching a taxi, don't say, take me to the Machanu statue, because they probably won't know what you're talking about. That's its actual name, Machanu. They'll say, take me to the, take me to the Hanuman statue. But you can see the tail, because the monkey god king with magical powers, he was a Jack the Lad. He slept with a few people. He slept with a mermaid, as one does when one can. And so they had a kid, and the Machanu is actually a composite of both their names. And you'll see images about just down the road, you know. You'll see that image as you drive past it. It's half monkey, half mermaid. And the Ramakien has had an astounding influence on Thai art and culture. So you can see this beautiful thing. This is a scene from the Ramakien. This is a classic scene from the Ramakien. Horny demon makes off with human princess, as you would if you could, I guess. I don't know. Big battle scenes. There's huge battles in the Ramakien. Now, it spawned a lot of it spawned a lot of art forms, or it became the subject of a lot of art forms. Because if you're doing the life of Buddha, you know, very interesting, but you can't do battles and you can't do lust and all that. So this is called Nang Yai. Now, Nang means hide or leather, right? And these puppets, as it were, they've been etched out of leather. So what they're holding up there is actually buffalo hides that have been made into shapes and figures from the Ramakien. And so this is what it looks like.
การเล่นจับลิงหัวค่ำนะครับเราจะยกตัวอย่างระหว่างลิงขาวกับลิงดำนะครับลิงขาวคือเป็นฝ่ายของความดีนะครับส่วนลิงดำนั้นเป็นฝ่ายของความชั่วนะครับซึ่งลิงสองตัวนี้นะครับเป็นศิษย์ของพระอาจารย์เดียวกันนะครับแต่วันนี้นะครับไม่รู้ว่าเพราะสาเหตุอันใดนะครับเกิดการทะเลาะกันใหญ่นะครับก็เป็นการไล่จับกันนะครับเป็นการต่อสู้กันนะครับเป็นศิษย์
So that's Nang Yai. Now, they all knew the plot. Everybody who was in that audience has seen it before, and they all knew the plot, but they're watching it again, they're applauding and seeing how it's done. Anybody want to hazard a guess about what happened in that scene? It was a battle, right? You see he sort of did a spinning cut, tried to do a spinning punch, etc. And then the guys showed triumph by standing on top of him and above him. So I was the victor, right? Now, there's a very little interesting side light from this, right? Now, who has been to a film recently? Anybody been to a film? Right, we say we go and see a film. But of course, we don't go and see film. Film is archaic. There's no film in a projector now. We're going to go and see digitals. We should be saying, I'm off to the cinema to see digitals, right? And similarly, Thais, when they say, I'm going to a film, they'll say, oh, Pom Ja Bai Nang Yai. I'm going, oh no, they won't say that. They'll just say Pom Ja Bai Nang, right? I'm going to, and of course they're not seeing Nang at all. They're seeing a cinema, but the term is carried over like our term of film. Now, the Ramakien has had a massive influence on Thai royalty, because this is the revered Rama 9. And just the name, Rama, they got from the Ramakien. The glory of Rama is what it means. And it became the adopted myth and ethos of Thai royalty, okay? So really they are, in a sense, the Shakri dynasty. And Shakri is from Sanskrit word, and it means wheel. And you might have heard, you know, chakras on your body, your etheric body and stuff. So that's really the name of the dynasty. But they were so taken with the myth of the Ramakien that they changed their name to Rama. And this guy in particular, Rama VI, was one of the kings that actually had a big influence. They helped translate it from Indian into Thai, and Sanskrit into Thai, and they helped shape it and adapt it to Thai culture, etc. And they actually there's a dance form that evolved, and for centuries it was only permitted to be watched by royalty. Cone dance, here it is. So very beautiful cone dancing. Now we're privileged to watch it, but for centuries it was only for royalty. Going to all that trouble and the costumes and the elaborate things and the costumes and masks and everything and the music, all just for royalty. Now this is probably my favourite art form that I unfortunately never seen. I'd really like the opportunity to see this properly done. Hun Grabok. And it's done using puppetry, and each puppet needs 3 puppeteers to actually bring it to life. It's quite amazing. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find a really good quality video, but I hope you can get some of this from this video because it is beautiful.
หน้าที่ของมันอย่างแรกเลย
กำเนิดทศกัณฐ์เรื่องราวของนนทุกข์อสูรผู้รับใช้พระศิวะณเขาไกรลาภและได้รับพรนิ้วเพชรเมื่อชี้ไปที่ใครก็สังหารผู้นั้นได้จนสร้างความวุ่นวายไปทั่วแดนสวรรค์ร้อนถึงพระนารายณ์ต้องจำแรงกายเป็นหญิงงามมาหลอกล่อจนนนทุกข์เสียท่าเมื่อนนทุกข์รู้ว่าหญิงงามคือพระนารายณ์แปลงจึงตัดพ้อว่าตนมีเพียง2 มือจะสู้พระนารายณ์ซึ่งมีถึง4 กรได้อย่างไรพระนารายณ์จึงให้นนทุกข์
Really beautiful, isn't it? Amazing. But they don't do it too much because who can afford to pay 3 puppeteers per puppet nowadays? But it does still exist. So, and this, now you've got to remember, they're all watching this beautiful art forms and they already know the plot, right? They know what's going to happen, but it's like, oh, it's enchanting. It's special, especially pre-TV, right? Now this tradition of rewatching the same plot apparently has been carried over to Thai soap operas. So when the West creates a soap opera, they want it to last for a decade, right? Or days of our lives for endless decades. But Thais expect a soap opera to last a pretty short amount of time. And then it will, and they'll pretty much know what's going to happen, and then it'll come to an end, and then there'll be another soap opera with pretty much the same plots and different cast and stuff, and then redone. So because they're used to this idea of rewatching plots that they already understand. So let's have a look at part of this massive Ramakien myth, the second saga. It's got a lot in it. Anyway, so it starts off, and demons are slaves, okay? They're a slave race. They're enslaved by humans, and as you can see from this, I hope, yes, mistreated, okay, abused. Totsukan, this kid, comes to a stage where he prays for a power, and the power he is given is the power to kill people by pointing at them, right? So this is why it's become incredibly rude to point in Thailand, okay? Because it's like, oh, you want me to die, right? So you don't point at Thais, you might gesture like this, but do not point. So that's where it comes from. Anyway, so the demons rebel on the power of Totsukan, the chief demon. They all seem to be related. But anyway, so they successfully rebel against the humans and they establish an independent kingdom ruled by Totsukan. By the way, the names have changed for the Thai version. In the Ramayana, he's Ravana. But anyway, so they actually start a demon kingdom in Sri Lanka, on the island of Sri Lanka. Rama and Sita. Well, they see each other, and as soon as they see each other, they go, oh my God, who is that? Me likey, me wanty, this person, okay? They don't know that they're both royalty. So and Sita is the most beautiful woman of all time. She makes Helen of Troy look like a dog. She's so beautiful, right? And there's a competition to win the right to marry her. And it's an archery competition, and Prince Rama bends the unbendable bow and he wins the competition. So it looks all hunky-dory for happily ever after. Rama's in line for the throne, and his father gets sick and is dying. So, he's been a royalty guy, and he slept with some women, and some time back he knocked up some woman in the forest. And she said, okay, I'm not going to, and he said, I can't marry you. And she said, that's okay, but, and he said, look, one wish, you make one wish and I will grant that wish, okay? And she says, she doesn't, what do you want? She says, I'm not ready to make a wish. So as he's dying, she comes back and she says, we had a son. You promised me my one wish. I want my son to be king. Now, and he says, I have to honor my promise. Now, you've got to remember, this became the dominant myth and way of thinking for the Rama family, right? The royal family. And it sets this incredibly high bar for how royalty should behave. And this is one of the reasons we've had Thailand's been blessed with some really good kings, because they set this bar of the Rama. We have to be honourable like the royalty in the Ramakien is, right? So, the Thai kings got rid of slavery, they brought in democracy, they've held the country together, amazing. So anyway, the king calls in Prince Rama and says, I made this promise, I have to keep my promise, this child has to become king, I know everybody wants you to be king. And she says, and the woman says, look, everybody loves Prince Rama. If he stays in the city, they're going to rebel against my son's rule to put him on the throne. So he has to go and live in the forest for 14 years, so that doesn't happen. So, and the king says to Prince Rama, will you do this? Will you go and Prince Rama says, I promise you I will go and live in the forest for 14 years. Again, this extremely honourable thing. And his brother, another prince, begs him to come with, I will keep you company in the forest. And Sita goes with as well. So there they are off to the forest, living in the forest, setting themselves for 14 years. But enter Samanaka, hot demon bitch, right? Shashela farm, okay? She hears that there's this incredibly hot-looking guy living in the forest. So she goes to check him out. Oh my God, me likey, me wanty, okay? She thinks I want to do the demon thing with this guy, right? So she changes herself into human form, which demons can, of course, and she's pretty hot. And so she tries to seduce Rama. And he says, no, I am pledged to Sita. She is my one true love. She makes every woman in history look like a dog. So Samanaka, hot demon bitch, gets pissed off and she tries to kill Sita. But Rama intervenes and defeats Samanaka, and instead of killing her, which would have simplified the plot, he just cuts off her hair and sends her away in disgrace. She runs back to Big Brother Totsakan and says, I've been disgraced, I've been violated, it's all that Prince Rama's fault. And, I don't know what her story about the violation might have involved. So he's pretty pissed. But she also tells him, oh, by the way, in the forest, Sita, this woman that makes every other woman look pretty ordinary, is living. And he goes and he looks at her and his demon eyes light up. And he tricks Rama into going away from Sita, so he's not there to protect her. And he kidnaps her. Okay, so he drags her back to the demon kingdom. But this is, by the way, there's now, it's been all pretty realistic and believable until now, right? Okay, but right now it's been taking a turn for the unbelievable, because he doesn't ravage her straight away, right? Because Pipek is the bright one of the group. He's the bright brother, right? Really smart guy. He's like a Mordu. He can predict the future. He's an astrologer. He's a very smart guy. And he says, look, I've cast the charts and the numbers and everything. If you ravage this woman, it's going to be a disaster, blah, blah, blah. So Totsakan doesn't touch her, supposedly. That's in the story anyway. Meanwhile, of course, Prince Rama's going on the warpath, and he goes to the monkeys and tries to enlist them in the battle against the demons and stuff. And that's where he meets the monkey god king Hanuman, who joins him with him. And Hanuman, this is him when he's in battle mode, he transports himself to the island, the demon kingdom, to rescue Princess Sita. But under one variation of the story, she's trying to hang herself, and he stops her hanging herself. And he says, I can take you back to Prince Rama. And so it's Prince Ram under the Indian. So, and she says, no, I've had this vision that if that happens, then it's going to be a disaster, blah, blah, blah. And so she doesn't go back with him. But Hanuman does set fire to the demon kingdom. And the monkeys get involved, and they start building this stone bridge to Sri Lanka to defeat the demons. War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing, right? I feel like Barry Upton now. So, look at the beautiful aesthetics of these pictures. They're amazing, right? It's been really inspired artistry in Thailand. And Pipek, the smart one, he changes sides to get on the side of the humans because he realizes the demons have lost the plot and Totsakan thinks he's a god and blah, blah, blah. And because he's so smart, battle tactics, etc., the humans win. And Rama and Sita are reunited. Now, it's not all smooth sailing from there, and in fact, the Indian variation has a pretty unhappy ending in some ways, and there's all sorts of things. But they are together. And by the way, again, this incredibly honourable thing, the royalty, Prince Rama goes, he's just conquered the demons. He walked back into the city. They'd all proclaim him king. And he goes, look, I've still got X number of years to go on my 14 years in the forest. I promised my father I'm going back to the forest to finish my 14 years. So this has set the bar up very high for the Rama dynasty, right, in Thailand.